One of my favorite features of Activity Builder is the Copy Previous feature. I'll show you how that works here. I have a new activity. I've got a blank first screen. I'm going to select a graph to appear there. And then in the second screen, I'll also create a graph. Over here where the three dots appear, if I click that, I'll get this option to copy previous. This says we'll make a copy of your student's last graph so they can add to it. So the graph that appears in this first screen is going to be duplicated in the second screen. So let's see how that looks to the students. So let's say that I ask them to enter in a simple linear equation of their choice and another simple linear equation of their choice, and then the product of those simple linear equations, linear functions. Then when they go to the next page, they'll see that that graph appears duplicated with the same functions and with the same graph. The way I like to use this, or one of my favorite ways to implement this, is to do this with some additional reflection or asking them to do some questions. So here I created this ahead of time, edit graph, and I've inputted a couple of questions that I want them to answer. How do your linear equations relate to the graph of the parabola? What points do they have in common? And I can now, you see the three dots appear on this graph as well, and I can go ahead and copy previous there. And so that'll bring in the graph from the screen just before it, which is then coming from the screen just before that. Let's add a note and some input on here as well. So it's just the first question maybe I want them to answer is something a little bit more general. What do you notice And this time, if we go to the first screen, this time the student's experience will be like this. So y is equal to x plus 3, y equals x minus 7, product of x plus 3, x minus 7. Adjust that a little bit so we can see what's going on. Now when they go to the next graph, there's their graph, and here's a question about it. And then the next time, the same graph is carried on, but now we're asking a question that's a little bit more in depth. And that's copy preview.